This is a Voyescape podcast. You can find all of our travel podcasts from around the world at voyescape.com.
Well, welcome back for another bonus episode of the Travel in 10 podcast. This is Nepal week, so we are going back once again today to Nepal. If you were with us earlier in the week, you would have heard Tim and I talking about our experiences in Kathmandu, the capital city. Just a couple of days ago, we put up an episode on trekking to Mount Everest and other treks that you can do throughout the country as well. Today, we're going back to the capital to give you some live sights and sounds from a tour there, as well as some additional bonus insights from a couple of locals with some of their suggestions on what to see and what to do in the capital city. Then tomorrow, we're going to have our final bonus episode from Nepal, this time going to the far south, going down to Chitwan National Park, to really give you a sense of what a safari trip there is like and some of what you can expect down in Chitwan. Also this week, we've been really happy to see that we're getting a lot of people downloading the podcast from around the world. We've actually hit #1 on the podcast charts in the travel category on Apple Podcasts in Canada, shooting up the charts in the UK and the US and elsewhere. So a huge thanks to everybody who's been supporting us and listening to all of our episodes from around the world. If you are finding the information that we're sharing useful, it's hugely helpful to us if you can drop us a rating, whether that's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to us, or a review is super helpful as well, with a few words on what you think of the podcast and what you'd like to see us bringing to you in the future as well. But today, as I say, we're going back to the streets of Kathmandu this time for some live recordings of the sights and sounds there. And we're going to start off with Uttara, who was my guide at Explore Himalaya, who took me to see some of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. She's going to be telling us a little bit about that, and then we'll take you to some of her commentary from a couple of those sites as well, before going to meet with a couple of locals and hearing some of their insights into the city and some of the things that you can do to plan your trip to Kathmandu.
We have 7 World Heritage Sites in Kathmandu Valley. We are doing 3 today: Kathmandu Durbar Square, Pashupatinath Temple, and Boudhanath Stupa. These were listed in the UNESCO in the early 70s, and we have some destruction from the earthquake. 2015, we had a big earthquake in Kathmandu, and these places are under renovation. Some temples are already renovated, some are under reconstruction. And we are going to see, the first place is Kathmandu Durbar Square, which is an old palace with many temples.
Yep.
It was an old palace until 1768. In 1768, Nepal was united, and all the small kingdoms were united and become big. And the Saha king ruled over there, and now this is a republic country, right?
So
we have no monarchy.
The monarchy doesn't have any authority here anymore?
No more. Now we have Prime Minister and President. So in Kathmandu Durbar Square, we are going to see the old palace with temples. And then one interesting thing in Kathmandu is we have a young girl worshipped as a goddess. She's 9 years old, and she'll be the goddess until she reaches up to puberty. We call her Kumari, or the living goddess. And this is the only tradition that, is working over here in Nepal. So, not anywhere in the world you see the living goddess. And
And is that a Buddhist?
She's selected from a Buddhist family, but always worshipped as one of the incarnation of Hindu goddess. So this is also a very good example of religious harmony between Hinduism and Buddhism.
Yes.
So these two major religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, Hindus also worship Buddhist god and goddesses. Buddhists also worship Hindu god and goddesses. We have religious harmony.
Okay.
And we are going to visit her temple. As she's a real girl, we may see her. Sometimes she come in the window, but it's her choice,
Interesting.
But we don't guarantee that we see her.
Of course.
And every year in the month of September, we have a chariot festival of the living goddess for 1 week. And during the chariot festival, she's taken out from the her temple, know, and she will be kept in the chariot, and people pull the chariot in different parts of the city.
And when does that, what time of year does that happen?
In September. It's according to the lunar calendar. Sometimes it's in the beginning of September, sometimes it's at the end of the September.
Okay.
and followed by all the traditional music, marks dances.
That would be an interesting time to visit.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Every evening it's like live dances everywhere in nearby the square.
What other big festivals do you have throughout the year that would be good times?
We have lots of festivals over here, as we have these religious group celebrate each other's festival.
Yes.
In the month of October, it's again according to the lunar calendar, we have the Sai festival, which is for 15 days, but the major festivities you can see on 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th day. And then we have after 2 weeks of the festival, in November we have Tihar, or the Pawali festival, the festival of lights. And next week we have another festival, the birthday of the Buddha.
Okay.
The full moon day coming in few days, we celebrate the birthday of the Buddha. Buddha was born on the same day, and he got enlightenment on the same day, the full moon day, and he got, he passed away on the same day. So it's a big festival here in the Buddhist temples, and government holiday.
And that's usually sort of mid-May, end of May?
Yeah, generally it's in April. This year it lies on the May. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we are here in one of the another heritage site. This is Boudhanath Stupa, the biggest Buddhist temple of Nepal, right? And it's a huge stupa. It's beautiful. You can see we have wonderful prayer flags. There are 5 colors in the flags: red, blue, white, green, and yellow. Each and every flag has praying printed over there, and we believe that the wind carry all these prayers, and there is peace and harmony all over the world. This is the need, all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And then in the small niches down here, you can see everybody walking around clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Walking clockwise is called Kora. You always have to walk clockwise, making the temple, on your right side.
Okay.
And the small niches here, we have prayer wheels. Each and every wheel has a mantra. Mantra means a sacred praying, called Om Ma Ne Pe Me Hom. All our prayers, all our mantras start with Om. Om is the first sound of the universe, right? It's a spiritual word, right? Starts made from 3 letters, A, U, and Ma. So all our prayers start with Om. This is Om Ma Ne Pe Me Hom. People are walking around and spinning the wheel in clockwise. And look at the ladies, look at this lady.
Yes.
She is praying.
Yeah,
so
getting down
you can
and laying
see
flat on the ground.
flat
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
And she is touching her, body,
Yeah.
speech, and mind. So it's like to purify body, speech, and mind, right?
Yeah. And will she?
And
It
then-
looks like she's taking
Yeah,
a few
she-
steps and then lying down. Will she
Yes,
do that
yeah.
all the way
All
around the
the way
entire
around,
temple?
yes,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
And generally, you can see the same person walking again and again.
Yeah.
The motive of walking around and around is like, they want to do 108 circles.
108.
108 is a special number. We have 108 bodhisattvas. So you can see that some people with the prayer beads, also 108 in number. That man you can see with the beads, right? There are 108 in numbers. When people offer the lamps, 108 lamps, right? 108 flowers, especially 108, 3 circles. And about the structure of the stupa, the big dome represents universe. Above the dome, we have eyes in 4 directions. These are all seeing eyes of the Buddha.
Yeah.
We believe that Buddha is watching us all the time. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You are in Canada, Nepal, India, everywhere. He's watching all of us. So we always have to be aware to do something wrong. The eyes also represents wisdom and compassion. Above the eyes, we have steps. There are 13 steps. 13 steps represent 13 degrees of knowledge. These are 13 level of meditation. 13th step is the enlightenment. And on the top, umbrella for protection. The dome, you can see it's white in color. White is the color of peace and harmony. Now you can see yellow color in the dome. They paint the lotus flower in the dome. Lotus is a symbol of purity.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of Tibetans started, staying over here. We have a lot of monasteries. So that's why we call this Little Tibet.
Okay.
And all these ladies, wearing a typical dress, you can see they have a tunic, that's a Tibetan lady. And then if they are married, they wear a striped apron.
Okay. Should we
So you
spin the
can-
wheels?
Yeah, we spin the wheels. You can see the wheels have, each and every wheel has a carving, Om, Ma, Ne, Pe, Me, Hom. When they fix it, they write or print the prayers in the paper, and it's inside the wheel. So spinning the wheel one time means reasoning, you are praying, you're chanting as many times it is written inside.
Okay.
And then we have beautiful Buddhas over here, the paintings.
Yes.
The 5 Buddhas in 5 different hand positions. And these are the Tibetan monks wearing the red robe.
Yeah.
In Tibetan culture, every second son become a monk. So you can even see the younger boys wearing the dress of a monk. In the past, they become a monk for life, but now they, it's like a school. They learn, Buddhism. They also learn science, mathematics, English, everything in the monastery.
So that was a little bit of a taste of what you'll experience on a tour of those UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the city. We visited just 2 of the 7 there, but there is so much to see and do on a tour of Kathmandu, and you really get a great sense for the history of the city, the spiritual tourism aspects of what you can encounter there, and hopefully that audio overview gave you a bit of a sense of what that type of tour is like, but would really recommend taking the time to go as many of those UNESCO World Heritage Sites as you can when you're visiting the city. And an organized tour, you certainly get a lot more out of it in terms of really learning about that culture and historical aspect of it. Next, we're going to go over to Vivanata Hotel, Vivanata Kathmandu, to talk with Rabi Nistra, who's the general manager there. I spent some time at their rooftop restaurant, Akari. I think really probably the best view anywhere in the city. I was staying in another part of the city at a great hotel called Aloft in Tamil, which is really in the central tourist district, but went over for a lunch at Vivanata, and as I say, their rooftop restaurant has really one of the best views in the city, and Robbie was also kind enough to spend some time talking about what he thinks is unique about Kathmandu and some of the things that you'll want to think about in terms of food and culture while you're in the city as well.
I was going to say, this has got to be the best view I've seen of a restaurant in the city so far.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Phenomenal
David.
view of the city.
Yes, so it's primarily the cuisine is Pan-Asian, and that's what we showcase at Akari. So right from Japanese to Thai to a bit of Indonesian, and we keep planning, these events quite regularly, food promotions where we bring in chefs to visit and showcase their cuisines.
This restaurant is fantastic, but if people are looking to get outside of the hotel and trying some local cuisine, is there any place that people might not have heard of, unique place, something really unique to Kathmandu that you would recommend checking out?
Yes, so this whole neighborhood is very famous for its cafes and restaurants, and which is what a lot of our guests also like to explore. One thing you must try when you're in Nepal is the thakali. The thakali is the local Nepalese meal. It's normally served in a platter with an assortment of different curries and dishes. So the thakali restaurants in the neighborhood are quite popular. There are a few in the neighborhood. But not just the thakali, we've also got Thai, Korean, some great restaurants in the neighborhood and across Kathmandu.
Any particular little villages outside of Kathmandu that you would recommend if someone's going to try and do a day trip?
Yes, Dhulikale, Nagarkot, those are very popular day trips that you could plan. And depending on the time of the year, get a beautiful view of the Himalayas as well.
Yeah. What would you say is what is something that most tourists don't know when they come here? What is your insider tip that they should know when coming here?
Insider tip would be come prepared for the unexpected.
Okay.
Yeah, especially for Kathmandu.
Yes.
It's full of surprises.
Yes.
And I'm not going to give out the surprise because you need to visit to experience it.
Yes. How many days would you say, if someone's coming to do some trekking, coming to maybe, we were talking about earlier that a lot of people may use this as a jumping off point to get to Bhutan or to get to Tibet. How many days would you say they kind of need in Kathmandu itself to really get a bit of a sense of the city?
So Kathmandu, I would say minimum 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
However, when you combine it with other countries, of course, I would say if you're looking at getting a good sense, a good experience of the whole Himalayan region, which is Nepal, perhaps Bhutan, at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With maybe a few days of a short trek thrown in.
Yeah.
But then if you're looking at doing, the Everest Base Camp or the Annapurna trek, then of course
that's at least
15
days or something.
At least 15 days.
Yeah.
At least take 2 to 3 weeks off.
Well, thanks again for joining us on this special bonus edition of the Travel in 10 podcast as we finish off our week on Nepal. As I say, we're going to have one more episode on Nepal tomorrow, taking you to Chitwan National Park. And then later this week, me and Tim are back with an episode on the Maldives and getting into both of our recent visits there and some of our tips for planning a trip to the Maldives. So hope you're finding all of these podcasts helpful for planning your future vacations and future exploration around the world. And hope you'll come back and check out our next podcast.